Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Yes She Talks talk show. I am your host, Maria Gerlando, and I am here with the beautiful, the lovely, the talented Courtney Mandock.
Hi.
Courtney is she's a queen in her everyday life, but she is the current Miss Intercontinental Canada, which is how I came to know her. And Courtney, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself to our audience today.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Courtney Mandock. I am from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I am Miss Intercontinental Canada 2019, and I'm actually an engineer in my everyday life.
Smart cookie, and that's just like tip of the iceberg. We'll obviously get to know Courtney a lot better through this chat that we're gonna have. And again, the whole purpose of Yes She Talks was really to teach you the daily life techniques, the tips, the strategies that myself and Courtney have done to overcome whatever obstacles or limitations that were in our way to find success both in pageantry and in our everyday lives. And before we jump into all the good stuff, I like to start off with what I call, or what's called, a mad minute. So it's just a couple of this or that questions that I kind of based off of what I know about you to allow our audience to get to know you, okay?
Oh, I love that. That's so cute.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I'm gonna have fun. If I'm gonna host something, it's gonna be a fun time, okay? Okay, so you can just answer or you can explain things if you want, no big deal. Okay? So I think the first question's pretty fitting. Would you rather wear blue or wear red?
Ooh, I think I'd have to go with blue. Except
looks gorgeous.
My red dress was what I won Miss Intercontinental Canada in. So I do really like both colors. I think it depends on when.
Fair, and that's why I was like, ooh, this will be a good one. Pageantry or engineering?
I have learned so many different things from both. I have taken my pageantry side into engineering to let me speak up and be heard, but I've also taken my pageantry side into, my engineering side into pageantry that really let me know how to be who I am and to speak up and to learn more about myself. So I really don't know how to answer that question.
You're like, they're together. There's no separating them.
Like, so many people don't understand how I can be one of both. And I think that's something that's so cool just in my day-to-day life. Like in pageantry, if they ask me what I'm doing and I say I'm a manufacturing engineer, they're like, wait, what? And the other way too. So they're tied. They're together. I can't choose.
That's fair. And there are no rules. There are no rules. So you make up the answers that you want. All natural or full glam?
I'd have to say all natural. Glam like once in a while, but yeah, I'm a natural kind of girl.
You don't need all the glam. The glam is just for fun. It's just extra.
It's fun.
It's the sprinkles and the sparkles on top.
The sprinkles, I mean sparkles, like let's be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather do an indoor or an outdoor photo shoot?
Oh, I like the indoor ones because I find that they tend to be a bit more glam, but I find the outdoor ones are more natural. So I guess how I'm feeling and who I'm working with. But right now I want to be outside, so I'm going to say outdoors, but in the middle of winter, that will probably change.
That's fair. And that'll kind of lead into the next question. Would you rather experience a Canadian summer or a Canadian winter?
So Manitoba is very interesting in that we get plus 40 weather and minus 40 weather. I don't like either extremes. I love our summers and I love going swimming and being outside, but my dogs and I have huskies. So we love being able to be outside in the snow and run and play, and I play ringette. So that's another hard one. Let's say like fall.
And that's okay. I know, I was like really trying to be strategic. I'm like, okay, where do they live? Like what would kind of be relatable to you? And it's funny because the last one that we have, would you rather have dog walks or dog cuddles?
Not that they let me very often, but I think dog cuddles, my dogs are so hyper though that like when we're walking, they're pulling me down the street. We're working on it. But yeah, when they let me cuddle, I'm like, cuddles.
I love that. I had a dream last night that I was cuddling a Frenchie. Now that I just remembered it, and it was like, it was a loving experience. And I'm like, oh, okay, it wasn't real. That's all right. One day.
It'll be real. It'll be real.
Okay, so that's it for the Mad Minute. Now we kind of get to jump into like what, I mean, this is fun for me and you and for the audience to get to know you, but now really just to the valuable stuff as well. And one thing that I will always promise of this talk show is that the quality of the content and the people will always be better than the quality of my camera and my filming because I'm on my laptop. But you know what? We're making it work. So again, the whole idea, as I was just explaining to you, that I really wanted to take it a step further to inspire confidence and purpose and motivation in the people around me and whoever it is that listens to the messages that I put out, whether it's 1 people or 100, I just felt like I could be doing more. And what I mean by doing more is by teaching others how to live a life of purpose, intention, and it's the phrase or my platform that I call living life alive. Living life on purpose, like you are in control every day. And Courtney, I want to know, what does that phrase kind of mean to you? How does that sit with you?
So that actually ties really well into what my platform is all about. And it's let the world hear your roar. And roar in this case means refractions of a reality. So to me, what that means is show all of the refractions, all of the sides of yourself, no matter what area you're a part of, no matter who you're around, but in a way that's real and authentic. I can be in pageantry or I can be in engineering, but you will still see the same me. Maybe in better clothes, maybe with the hard hat and steel-toed boots, but it'll still be me.
Of course. And how do you take that idea of living life authentically, living life alive? How does that play out in your everyday? Like, are there any actions or steps that you do to really make this come into a reality?
Yeah, so for me, it's really knowing the things that I like. So I'm definitely a coffee person and I'm going to own that and be that who I am. Something like, trying to think of ideas right now, but to really be who I am. And when I was growing up, like when I was in elementary school and middle school, I loved math. And I kind of hid that a bit. And once I got into high school, I'm like, I don't care who knows this. I love math. That's okay. People would come to me for help because I was so upfront about it. And within my Roar platform, that was what I wanted to get across is it doesn't matter what you like and what other people have to say about what you like, but it matters that you are honest and you are authentic and true to yourself, even if others don't agree. And what I believe is that by being true to ourselves, we can open the door for someone else, some youth, whether they're male or female, to know that it's okay for them to be themselves and it's okay for them to like pink or like blue or want to go into medicine or want to go into video games, regardless of the stereotypes that are around us. Had I listened to the stereotypes, it's very possible that I never would have gone into engineering. But that's where I'm meant to be, and I truly believe that. And me having the platform with my Miss Intercontinental Canada title lets me reach a broader audience in order to share that.
Of course. And even I hear the way that you speak, and when you speak from a place of feeling whole and feeling complete because you're living authentically, because you're living life aligned with your purpose, it's almost so much easier to speak.
Yeah.
Wherever you're at, it's just easier to share what's on your mind and what's in your heart because it's always meant to be there. It'll always be for you. Like I couldn't say anything about engineering. I don't know a dang thing. And I tried. Like that was one of the programs I looked into, and it did not connect with me. But like when I start talking about pageants and health and fitness, I could go on for hours. And
that's what I find is when you start talking about your purpose and what your platform is and what you care about, it doesn't matter what your previous education is. If you are passionate about something, that goes through, that shines. You can know absolutely nothing about what someone's talking about, but you'll be engaged if they light up and if they want to talk about it and share it and explain it in a way that doesn't make you feel stupid.
oh my gosh, of course, yeah. And one phrase that a previous coach taught me was that God is the ultimate qualifier. And it doesn't matter so much to me if you believe in God or if you're spiritual or religious or anything, but it's just the idea of knowing that having a certificate or an education doesn't, that's not everything to being knowledgeable and being passionate about something. Like there are other ways to kind of naturally fulfill something that you might enjoy doing or enjoy teaching, just because like innately we all have our own, you know, unique talents and traits that we can just automatically click with. I think that's the best way to say it, and just reminding ourselves of that. And back when you were saying like in school how you liked math, it's funny because I remember being on the mathletes in high school. I don't think it was like I don't think it was like how they explained it though on TV or anything. Like I think maybe we did like 1 or 2 competitions, but like in school, and that was it. Which is funny because I'm like, oh, was I a nerd? Maybe. But when there were times that you were kind of hiding it, what did that kind of feel like for you when you weren't able to just express yourself? Like, how did that make you feel every day? And did it show up in other places of your life too?
It was so hard. There were so many times where I remember in elementary school, I was crying at recess because I didn't have anyone to play with. I would sit in the corner and I would read. I'm a huge reader. And again, that's something I've embraced. But when I was in elementary school, it's not cool to read. Well, okay, but now I have a whole bunch of books read, and yeah, you're the one who's losing out. But what I want to share is that it was hard. It was hard to be scared of who you were and to be scared of what other people thought of you. And once I kind of got past that initial, no, I don't want them to think a certain way, you realize how little someone thinks of you negatively when you even cross their mind, and you can really own who you are. I had a really strong, tight group of friends. We just did it the other day. It's been like 13 years, and that's insane. And we are still so tight. And that often doesn't happen after high school because you start finding your own different paths. But we accepted each other for who we were, whatever that looked like. We don't have all the same interests. We don't have all the same passions, but we are there for each other. And that's one thing that I find with pageantry you get too, is that you start embracing who someone is by what they show you. And the weeks are so long and tiring and your feet hurt that you don't only have time to build up another wall to say, hey, look at me. You're like, no, this is who I am. And that was something that with me competing again last year, I was terrified. I was so terrified to compete, but I had to get past that. I don't want regrets. I don't care what anyone thinks of me for competing, even if I don't make it, but I'm doing this for myself. And that's what made the difference for me.
Of course. I think the one thing that stood out there was like you kind of saying that you were alone at recess. And I remember in grade school, I don't know if other friends did this or other groups of friends, but like me and my couple friends, like there was this thing that would happen where like we would break up with each other. Was that a thing where you were at? Okay, because I remember that happening to me several times, and it was just like the most traumatizing experience because essentially your friends were breaking up with you and they said, we don't want to be friends with you, so we're gonna go play and you're gonna stay over there, like, or wherever. And I just remember being like we didn't have many girls in my grade school, and I remember going up to my sister who was 2 years older than me, but I was just like, who do I hang out with? Like, who do I play with? We were kids, right? But that idea of then starting to realize like, okay, I want to have my approval of my peers because I don't want to be alone. Like that's just like, oh, that's unbearable in a social situation like that. I think that stuck with me a little bit, especially throughout high school. And it probably wasn't until university that I was like, it was in my awareness that I realized, oh, like why, I don't care what these other people think. I don't care that they don't want to be with me. Now I know how to be by myself and not seek the approval of other people. I've always still expressed myself. I've always still like shown and been who I was. But I think I had probably a little bit more of a need to impress other people because, you know, those times when I was like, what, 10 or 14 years old that this would happen.
Oh, absolutely. And that need to impress others, I find, is so much part of what society teaches us from a young age. From like reading magazines and stuff, it's always about your peers and about following what the trends are and following what society says. And yes, I mean, do the things you like, do the things that you like. Maybe they were told to you by society, but don't stop or don't keep doing them if it's not something you genuinely enjoy. You'll find your own kind of niche. You'll find those people who matter. And it doesn't matter if it's someone who has stayed friends with you forever or if you just met them. There are, especially some pageant sisters that I have, that we met months. Like, it was a span of months, and I was a bridesmaid for someone's wedding. Like, we literally met, like, we connected at the pageant. And it was just so crazy that the time frame that those bonds can develop and how true they are, but they're so true because you're being yourself.
I know, and that's really the best. Like, if you can't, I always say to the young girls I mentor, I'm like, if you're not surrounded by people who just accept and love you, like, it's exhausting. Like, your life is so precious, your time is so precious. And, you know, I'm 25 now, and I'm like, I don't want to be around people that don't make me feel like I'm thriving. And my brother, not my brother, my boyfriend's younger brother, he's 15, and we see him going through this, like, kind of doing the same haircuts as his peers, you know, maybe like hanging around with people because like they're around, they're the cool kids. I don't know, whatever the reason is. He's not gonna watch this, he'll be fine. But we're trying to explain to him, like, no, you're so, like, he's so just, his personality, he's a 15-year-old. He's a little bit of a pain sometimes, but he's so intelligent and he's so hardworking, and we're trying to instill in him this idea that you don't want to be like other people. Like, you're so unique yourself and you can do so much, like, trust us. But I think it's kind of in one ear, out the other right now. But what is something that, like, if there are any, you know, any young girls or guys who are maybe like 14, 15 years old, entering high school, pretty much the epitome of the place where you're worried about your peers, like, what is something that you would kind of advise them to do throughout their days to avoid or to kind of not go through that experience of always seeking approval from others?
I would pick one thing that you enjoy doing that's outside of your normal group of friends. So, for example, I played ringette when I was in high school and some years before that. But that was an area where, okay, I was a goalie, so I was part of a team, but it was still kind of by myself. But I had another group of people. The same thing when I was in school, I was also in the band. So I was, I guess, a band geek, a band nerd as well.
And you love math. Oh, you just like stack the deck in the nerd way.
So I had like both groups. Like, I had my close friends who I had a lot of the same classes with, but on certain days I also had these other friends and that saw a different side of me. And that I find really important is don't do everything the same as your friends. Pick one thing, maybe each year even. Sign up for a different class, okay? In my schools, we had 4 different classes each day. Pick one different class. That's not that big of a deal. You'll find other friends. Join a sport team that's outside of school, or join something that is in school, but maybe after school. Pick a hobby that you enjoy. Take some sort of lessons, go swimming, go painting, do karate, do something that is with a different group of friends, or maybe someone you don't see all the time. They can still be with friends, but that little bit of independence goes into a little bit more and a little bit more. And by showing your friends that you are okay doing that, that's going to bleed into their lives as well. And they're going to know that your friendships, you don't have to be joined at the hip to stay friends, and that it's okay to have the different interests, and just enjoy that part of it and do the things you like because you like them, not because someone else told you to. That would, I think, be, I did a talk with some dance students a couple months ago, and that was something that I really wanted to share to them, because they were between like 8 to 16. So it was a pretty wide age range, but that was something that I wanted to let them know, and just make sure that understand who you are. And I'm still figuring out who I am, but enjoy that time. And yeah.
No, that makes sense. And it's funny because now by the time that this one airs, there'll have been a couple other talks, and some of the other themes that we hear are, try new things, be a student of life, put yourself in a situation to meet new people. But it's almost like you're explaining it in a different way though. It's more about having the independence to network. I don't like the, network in the sense of making friends, learning how to communicate with your peers and present yourself away from the people who are around you to find who you are. Like it's the same process, it's the same steps, but there's so much different psychology and mindset behind it that really helps shape who you are as a person. And you could also try joining a pageant. And it's true. Message one of us, like we'll tell you which ones to go to. But seriously, I was 21 when I joined my first pageant, and one of the main reasons I started was because I found myself kind of in between groups of friends. And I just remember thinking, like, where do I go and how do I like I know I could try something new, but what do I try? 21, not many organized sports around my age. I was already playing soccer, and I remember one of my girlfriends, Tina Bonato, she ended up crowning me Miss Tecumseh. I would always see her going out with different girls at different events, and I always, in the back of my mind, thought that looks so awesome. They look like they're having so much fun. Long story short, it wasn't until I was 21, which is about 3 years later, that I thought, I'm gonna sign up. And I just remember like being around other girls, even though, not all of us vibed or clicked or stayed friends, it was just so much fun to be around new people and see how I interact and how I get to express myself to people who don't know me. Like, because essentially like you're going to talk about yourself, and it's just so interesting to see how do I shine, how do I come out around people who don't know who I am.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I found. So I have done, I think Egypt would have been my 7th pageant. So prior to my 6th one last summer, when I did Miss World Canada, that was something that I knew. I'm like, okay, I'm very friendly. I can be very outgoing. I just had this talk and I say I'm an extroverted introvert. So I like talking to people, but I do need that kind of quiet me time afterwards. But to be in a pageant, you want to be friendly and you want to make friends and you want to let people know who you are. But at the same time, I wanted to do it in a way that it's okay if everyone doesn't like me. Like, I don't have to be the most well-liked person. What I have to be is honest and myself. And that was the big thing. And I'd say in some of my other pageants, one, I had done Miss Teen Canada previously, and that was one where I remember going into the interview and I was so bubbly, but it was almost verging on fake, where yes, I'm that happy, but yeah, it was almost like it was just crossing the line. And I can still think back and look at that, and it's like, okay, that taught me a really important thing, that I need to be myself.
Exactly. And that reminds me of my last international pageant as well. I was in the Philippines, and I again, it's kind of like how you always have to be aware of how you're presenting yourself to other people, because I can't change other people around me, and I can't get upset at other people for perceiving me in a different way. I can only control who I am and how I show up. And it wasn't till the end of the pageant where I got feedback from the director, who kind of just let me know, you know what, like you're everything, like you got it all, but you were just a little too much. Like you were just coming on a little too strong. And it, looking back, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, because I love those environments, and I am uber extroverted. Like I'm an extroverted extrovert, if that's even a term.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just make friends, and I wanted to enjoy and bask, because it had been about a year and a half since I competed. So I was just like, oh, I was on a high. But because of that, the bonds I made were amazing. But so many girls would come to me, there were a few, when they were having their own personal issues and their own pageant issues. And I found myself being like a little bit of a crutch to helping them with their problems when they were missing something, loaning out this, loaning out that I didn't give that energy back to myself. And it was just like always go, 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 go. And when you don't refuel, you're right, when you don't take that time to be like, okay, I want to be friends with everyone and I will become friends with the other girls naturally, but I don't need to force it. I don't need to be, you know, the rock, the stone, the totem pole, whatever, for every single person, because I'm also here competing and I have to make sure that I'm showing up the way I want to, because it's not fun competing and preparing for a year to be told you're trying too hard. It's not fun.
Yep.
So it was like the most valuable lesson in friendship, in presenting myself, in, you know, having others perceive who I am. It was like, I know how to be me, but you know what? I know I have to also realize when I'm being too me, that it's not me anymore.
And that's exactly, like you said that perfectly though. No, I completely get it, because there are times where, yes, you are extroverted and you are hyper and you are just loving being in the moment. But it's also, it can be almost overwhelming if you don't tone it back a little bit. It reminds me of, so I used to chaperone teams as well. And one time we were getting the girls to practice doing their swimsuit walks. And we got them to do, they weren't getting it for whatever reason. They were having a really hard time. So we're like, okay, we put on, I think, Beyonce, and we just go do the most outrageous walk you possibly can, and this will be great. And it was awesome. And then we got them to tone it back a bit, and it was perfect, because that's what they needed. They needed to be shown, okay, this is too much, but now take it back. And the same thing with like evening gown, is you want to walk slow, but when you're on stage, you're gonna walk faster. So practice it even slower than is maybe proper. But when you're on stage, you're excited, so you're gonna go a little faster. And just that in general, I know when I have a big talk at work, or if I'm talking to someone I haven't talked to before about something that they might not see me as an expert in, and I'm trying to get my point across, is I know I have to come with even more facts. I need to talk slower because I'm so excited and I want to keep talking. But it's really that, like, pull yourself back a little bit. You can still be yourself, but yeah, just like tone it down just a little bit. And that's such a weird concept, but I think is so valuable too, is you don't have to try hard to be yourself. Just be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, other people listening to this might think, what? But trust me, when you go through it, when you experience it, and you're aware of it, it makes a lot more sense. If you're not feeling like you're trying too hard or being too much, or people aren't telling you that, then you're probably in a sweet spot. Keep in that sweet spot. So we have, you know, put yourself in different situations, especially if you're a high schooler, to make friends with different people in different groups, just also to kind of explore what you like. We have always be aware of kind of who you are and who you want to be and how you want to show up, regardless of what everyone else thinks. And Courtney, what is something that you would say is like a daily practice for you, that like you have to do this thing so that you can be Courtney every day?
I think I need to take time for myself. And that can be as simple as reading. Again, I realize when there are times that I take too long going between books, and it's really something that lets me kind of tone back and, weirdly enough, get into the moment, but kind of get away. Whether I really try hard to take some time away from my phone, whether it can still be electronic, so maybe I'll be playing a different game, but not always being on social media is huge for me. I definitely noticed that since I've been putting in like certain breaks, it's been very helpful, like, for my mental health. And just overall, like, evaluating how I'm feeling. Something that we haven't really talked about, so I also have depression and anxiety. And I know that when I've spent too much time not focusing on myself, that my mood and my energy level drops like crazy. So that's something that I definitely want to keep in mind. And not that you need, like, everyone has mental health, and you always need to be aware of that, even if you don't have an illness. And yeah, like, take it from someone who's been through it. It is not fun to go through, but really be in the moment.
Yeah, and again, importantly, know what you need for you. Because you're the
Exactly.
only one, like you can, listen to these talks, you can try new things, but take what you hear and filter out what's going to work for you. And then move forward with what that is for you. Because if you found what works for you, you don't like keep trying new things, keep searching, but at the same time, what will work for you, it's going to stick. And maybe at times it's going to change and you're going to transition out of things, but you know you best, right? Like I'm not even gonna act like I know anybody or that I know more than anyone. I'm just trying to give out any tools and resources, experience, so that others can possibly learn from, yourself or me, and, really just try and live their best life with whatever they have going on. Because we all got something. We've
Yeah.
all been through something. And oh my gosh, and now I lost my train of thought because I was just like, oh, she's speaking words into my soul. I love it. You were talking about like knowing yourself. That's right, giving to yourself. And I have a meditation app called Headspace, and when you kind of subscribe to the full subscription, it says, what is your intention? So you write down your intention. I think you can change it, but every single time I meditate, it says like, remind yourself of your intention. And mine is always to give back the energy that I'm giving to others every day. Because it's true, like I don't take many social media breaks, bad on me. And it's so much more aware that I'm on my phone all the time, like usually working and doing productive things, but I'm still on it. And I need to be reminding myself that I need to give back my energy to me. And so now it's just a process. Like anytime I hear the word intention, I think I got to give myself back the energy. I've got to give that energy back to me because I'm so energetic. And if I don't give that energy back to me, I'm going to be hyperactive all the time.
Yeah.
And now, Courtney, if you would just give like another 30 seconds of advice, whatever audience we have here, wherever they are in the world, what is something that you want them to know about living life alive that maybe you haven't already shared, or maybe just to sum it up?
In order to live life alive, you need to be yourself. Be yourself in whatever way that may be. Break the stereotypes that might be in your way. Jump over the obstacles, knock down the walls, shatter the glass ceilings, but really be yourself. And reach out to people if you don't know how that is, how to get there. Talk to people, talk to yourself, as silly as that sounds. Write something down and take those breaks. Like, you really need to, your own mental health and your own sanity, honestly, is so important on those things that you do every day. And again, it's a learning process. It's a habit that takes time to build. I know I'm not there yet, but take that time for yourself and really be in the moment and be yourself and let the world hear your roar.
I was just gonna say that. I was like, if she doesn't end on that, I'm gonna be like, you roar when you know what your voice is. Just, but you've done this before, so you were like, that's always my last little slip in right there. Oh, thank goodness. I was like, oh, roar. Okay, we got it. On what's next for you?
I don't know. So Miss World Canada is coming up this fall. I mean, as long as everything goes well. I am really hoping that I'll be able to be there, but again, it depends on everything that happens in the world and Canada up till then. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do more pageants, if I'm what. Work is going great. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. Actually, I guess the next big thing that I'm working for is I'm looking for a house for myself. It's something that's, my parents are divorced, so I've never kind of had my own place. So that's something that's been really important to me. And again, just really finding, like, connecting with my friends, staying connected with the friends, even in this kind of transition time frame we're in. And yeah, trying to share my voice and be in the community as much as we can, and even if it looks a little bit different than it used to.
I know, that's fair. And I had, I think yours is going to air after Matea's. Matea and I were chatting last week, and I said to her, I'm like, you're going to the pageant, and I'm going to pick you up and drive you there from Ontario if I have to. So on my way to Alberta to pick her up, swing by, pick you up in Manitoba. Grab and Taya will all go to Miss World Canada. No big deal. It'll be like a 4-day road trip.
Oh, it'll be great. I'll come with you. It'll be great. It'll be an awesome trip. Girls trip.
That's all right. While we're at it, we might as well just go all the way to BC and then all the way to Nova Scotia. We'll get all the girls together. Make sure everyone.
We'll go to BC. We'll grab Lauren. We'll go to Nova Scotia. We'll blab Naomi. It'll be great.
Yeah, I'm going to rent like a bus and we'll grab all the contestants from everywhere too. Might as well. We're already there.
Well, yeah.
And where can everyone follow you at? You know, just to kind of see whatever your next steps are, or even just to be able to continue to be inspired by you and your message and to see how you roar. Where can they follow you at?
So I have a few different, I guess, social media sites. So my Facebook page is Courtney Mandock. My Instagram, I also have Courtney Mandock. I have Refractions of a Reality. If you want to follow and maybe submit a story and let the world hear your roar. And I mean, feel free, you can follow my pups too, but I really want you guys to follow the people who mean something and who inspire you. I know that I recently went through kind of a cleanse, and someone who isn't, take that in mind. You have no obligation to follow anyone, but by all means, follow me, send me a DM, come. I want to hear what you're talking about, hear what you're doing, and I'm super excited to hear all of the charity work and all of the platforms that everyone this year has made, and we'll see who becomes the next Miss Intercontinental Canada.
Yes, who will be your successor? Anyways, I'm going to probably go ahead and just leave everything linked down below. That way, if anybody does want to connect with you further, they absolutely can, because you're a gem and you're so friendly, just to even get advice from about pageantry and everyday things. Like, I don't surround myself with bad people, so trust me, you're one of the good ones.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, girl. And again, thank you everyone. If you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching our entire interview. Thank you to the beautiful Courtney Mandock, our Miss Intercontinental Canada, for another 3 months. But forever, 2019,
always.
Canada's Miss Intercontinental, forever and always. That's all we have for this episode of Yes, She Talks, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.